Today's episode is about Michelle Carter, and if you weren't already familiar with this case, then you're probably going to learn pretty quickly that it's not your normal, stereotypical true crime case. For many reasons, really, but it just goes to show that not every single true crime case fits neatly inside a little square-shaped box. Today's episode does involve suicide quite heavily, so please remember that if you or anyone you love is having suicidal ideations, help is always available, so call Lifeline Australia on 13 11 14, or if you're not comfortable doing that, send them an SMS to 0477 131 114. Okay, let's go. Normally, I am your go-to serial killer guy. Not in the sense that I
Okay.
I kill people, but my go-to true crime cases are generally based around serial killers. Well, not today, buddy. New season, new me. Ooh.
I'm excited.
I'm positively moist. Anyway, Michelle Carter. She was born on the 11th of August 1996 in Plainville, Massachusetts, to parents David and Gail Carter. I couldn't find a lot of information on her upbringing, but what I do know is that she identifies as a Christian, that she was on psychiatric medication when she was like 14, that she graduated King Philip Regional High School, and that her eyebrows are fugly. But all in all, she probably seemed like any old, ordinary girl that you might walk past on any given Tuesday.
With fugly eyebrows.
I mean, I just call it how I see it.
Were they like away from one another, or they were like not related?
I'll
or bushy?
show you. They were related, but like I think they're a brother and sister, if you get my meanings.
Yeah.
Their families intertwined. That's what her eyebrows were giving. But Michelle is only one of two people in today's case. So let me introduce you to Conrad Henry Roy III, who was also born in Massachusetts, but he was from Meticulous, and he was born on the 12th of September 1995 to parents Lynn St. Dennis and Conrad Jr. We have a little bit more information on Conrad than we had on Michelle, starting with the messy divorce between Lynn and Conrad, which they later stated directly contributed to like his mental health being poor because of like the divorce and stuff. But to me, it wasn't clear if it was directly related or if they just noticed it. There was mention to like an incident that took place where his mother struck his father in front of like all the kids, but I couldn't find like a lot of info on that. It was kind of vague, but apparently happened. And he would also lodge a police report against his dad for battery, like domestic violence, because apparently there was like one occasion where he was putting food away or dinner away, but he didn't do it fast enough, and his dad like held him down and was beating him and stuff. Well, his like bitch troll girlfriend from hell was belittling him the whole time. His dad's girlfriend, not his girlfriend.
Oh.
So
That's not nice.
well, nothing says good parenting like getting beaten up by your dad and made fun of by your stepmom, right?
Yeah, shit.
We also know that Conrad suffered with pretty bottom of the barrel self-esteem. And they would also later say that he was diagnosed with major depressive disorder or MDD. I don't know if that's how they abbreviate it, but I have.
That's what we're doing.
With that said, he still graduated from Old Rochester Regional High School, and he had been accepted into Fitchburg State University. So even though he himself said that he did have trouble learning, he was still trying, even though he was suffering with a lot of mental health issues.
Gave it a crack.
He gave it a crack. If you didn't know this case already, then you might be wondering how these two are connected. And the long and the short of it is that they met while they were on vacay in 2012 on the Wang of America, Florida. Apparently, they were visiting family or something.
The Wang of America.
You've seen the map, right?
Yeah. I've been
like
to Florida.
A little doodle just hanging off the edge of America.
I like that.
After this fateful meeting, it is said that their relationship was like predominantly text-based. So they would just like text each other, because even though they both lived in the state of Massachusetts, Mattapoisett was like an hour away from Plainville. So I think they only saw each other in person maybe 5 times,
Oh, shit.
if that.
Yeah.
If the records are correct.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Ah,
Yeah. So I guess technically you could call it a long distance relationship.
yeah.
Conrad worked with his dad, his uncle, and his grandfather in a company called Tucker Roy Marina Towing and Salvage Incorporated, and it was their family business.
Oh.
And they worked in boats and on the water, if you didn't get like the marine part.
Boats and hoes.
Conrad's depression was pretty bad, and he would make 4 attempts on his life.
Oh.
I think the first time that he would attempt to take his life was around the time of the divorce. And I read about one situation where there was a girl that he had met, I think, in a group of people that he had been talking to. I don't know if it was romantic or not, because I think it would have been around, I don't know what the date was, but he had been telling her about either his ideations or that he had maybe tried to kill himself or was in the process of trying, and she called the police and reported it straight away.
That's good.
Which is good, because they came and they saved his life, so they prevented that from happening. Oh. What is...
No.
They came and they saved his life. Oh.
Oh. No, I meant that in a... Oh, that's good. Sorry.
I think that this could have been the time that he tried to maybe OD on pills. Mm-hmm. I couldn't find a heck of a lot of information on it, but I'm pretty sure one time he tried to OD on pills. There's another time that I think he tried to drown himself. There are a few different things that he was a broken boy, unfortunately. Now, the OD thing and the girl thing might not be connected. I'm just piecing that together. So in full transparency, I'm not 100% sure. Because again, in more full transparency, I limited my exposure to a lot of things in this particular case. Like you would expect from any good, decent human being, Michelle, aka Michelle Carter, would discourage his suicidal fantasies and encouraged him to seek professional help.
Good.
Cool, right? From 2012 up until 2014. Well, let me correct that. Up until July of 2014. Mm-hmm. Because for some reason, this little bitch decided to flip the script, and instead of discouraging the suicide, she actively started engaging in his suicide fantasies and encouraging him to go and kill himself. You know his girlfriend? Yeah. I'm not exactly sure why it changed, why she started doing that. There's a part of me that wants to believe that maybe she had seen him suffering and that she maybe felt like the only thing that could cure his pain would if he actually took his life. It's not the right way to do it.
Speak to an adult.
Or a professional.
Yeah.
Someone who's professional. But that's what I mean, like, call the police.
Yeah, or a place where you can get locked up.
Exactly. Or his fucking parents.
Yeah. That's fucked.
Instead of egging him on, but she egged him on. There is online evidence of the text messages that they're exchanging concerning the topic of ending his life, and they're all pretty sad, and I read each of them. And, like, this dude is really suffering.
Yeah, that's sad.
He is talking about it so openly that for a minute, you're like, oh, is this just like attention-seeking behavior? But then it just goes to show that sometimes it might appear that way, but it's just not good to take that risk.
Yeah.
You know? Here's an example of some text messages that were sent between Michelle and Conrad on July 12th, 2014. Michelle.
You can't think about it, you just have to do it. You said you were going to do it, like I don't get what you want.
Conrad. I don't get it either. I don't know. Michelle.
So I guess you aren't going to do it then. All that for nothing.
Conrad. I'm going to eventually. Michelle.
No, you're not, Conrad. Last night was it. You keep pushing it off and say you'll always do it, but you never do. It's always going to be that way if you don't take action.
And then she sends him another one because that's not enough.
If you don't do it now, you're never going to do it.
And then she sends another one.
And you can say you'll do it tomorrow, but you probably won't.
What a bitch. FYI, that's not being a good girlfriend. What a see you next Tuesday.
They would talk about it a lot, mostly back and forth about him talking about how much he wants to do it and her saying that he won't do it and that something always comes up to prevent it from happening, like maybe he's not 100% into it, so he might plan something but intentionally fail. But then he is also struggling because he doesn't want to hurt his family. He loves his family and he wants to be able to say goodbye to them. But he also knows that if he says goodbye to them, then they'll know that something's up. So he doesn't know how he's actually going to do it. And there's conversations between the two of them where she's promising to talk to the family after it happens so that she can explain stuff and that she'll take care of them. And it's just odd.
So he's literally crying out for help. And she's just like, well, hurry up and do it.
Yeah, but I think he also... It's manipulative, I guess, because no one else is going to engage in those fantasies with him.
Yeah.
And she is. So he might be looking at this as, oh, someone gets me. Like, they're not always telling me not to do it or that it's wrong and that I shouldn't do X, Y, Z. But eventually they agree on a plan. So you know how Conrad works with his family in the marina?
Yeah.
Well, there is a water pump machine that produces like carbon monoxide, so you can't use it in an enclosed space. So they agree that he's going to go borrow this machine and take it to a secluded car park somewhere. And basically it's just going to be him and the machine alone in the car until he goes. And like another messed up thing is there's SMSs that she had sent through making him promise that today was going to be the day and that he can't break a promise.
No.
I know. The last text that he would send would say, okay, I'm almost there. And that was at 6:25 p.m. On the day that I read out earlier. So July 12th, 2014. In the middle of his suicide, he started to panic because it started to work.
Yeah.
So he jumped out of the car and called Michelle. The call lasted for about 40 minutes. And she convinced him to get back in the car.
Oh, my God.
And to shut the door. So just the fact that it took her 40 minutes to convince him to get back in the car, like, we don't really know what that conversation pertained to, not entirely. There was a second call that happened in the car, which I believe was for about 30 to 40 minutes again.
Yeah.
And that call took place while Conrad was dying.
Far out.
And he called her. So it was her that he was talking to again about that stuff. And that would be the last time that anyone would actually hear from him. Yeah, she was saying that she was calling his name. He wasn't responding, but she could hear someone groaning.
Yeah.
And it even sounded like in one part that he was in pain.
Yeah.
But instead of calling the police, Michelle would text a friend at approximately 8:02 p.m. saying... He just called me and there was a loud noise like a motor and I heard moaning like someone was in pain and he wouldn't answer when I said his name. I stayed on the phone for like 20 minutes and that's all I heard. And then at 8:25 she texted that same friend again and said, I think he just killed himself. She sent a very similar message to another friend an hour later at 9:24 saying... He called me and I heard like muffled noises, some type of motor running, and it was like that for 20 minutes. He wouldn't answer. I think he just killed himself.
No, I just told him to kill himself.
Well, see, that's the issue, isn't it? Like, I don't know how much her friends or her family or people in her immediate circle would have been told about their situation.
You'd want to hope they didn't know, and that's why they didn't tell anyone. Not that they knew what she was doing and then just didn't give a shit.
I don't think she would have told them because no one is going to side with her. Who's going to side with you when you're doing that kind of thing? She would also text him during this time, twice at 9:19 and twice at 10:38, but he was already deceased. So it doesn't make sense that she would send those messages unless the messages were to feign concern. But it's just weird because one of them's like, I'm scared, answer me, whatever. But she'd already been talking to her other friends. She hadn't called the cops. She said she heard him talking while he was dying. So it's a little bit weird. Or was she doing that to cover up and then maybe play Little Miss Victim? My boyfriend died. I had no idea. Love me. There was also a conversation about them deleting the text messages. I don't know if she sent that to him or if he sent it to her. But there were conversations about you deleted the messages, right? So it also sounds like cover up. She would also send an SMS to a friend on the 15th. Michelle sent a message to Sam saying that it was Michelle's fault that he died, that she could have stopped it, that he got out of the car and she told him to get back in the fucking car. So that's
Yes.
pretty messed up.
It is your fault, honey.
Yeah, it's crazy. You can actually find all of these text messages from July 12th, 2014 online. Conrad's body was found in the car park of a Kmart shopping center store thing. And Michelle was indicted on February 4th, 2015 and arraigned the following day in New Bedford Juvenile Court in Taunton, Massachusetts on charges of involuntary manslaughter. It sounds voluntary
Yeah.
to me, but I don't know. The grand jury found enough evidence to charge her with something called wantonly and recklessly assisting the suicide. And although she was 17, they wanted to indict her as a youthful offender, which meant that if they wanted to, they could charge her as an adult instead of as a minor.
Good.
They didn't.
Oh.
Her legal team done tried it, though, and even attempting to have the Bristol County District Attorney's Office removed from the prosecution, but this was denied. And on July 1st, 2016, they tried to appeal the indictment, but that was also denied, and the case was allowed to go ahead. So on July 5th, 2017, which was one day before the trial was to go ahead, Michelle's team would waive their right to a jury trial. They figured that might make more sense for them. They might have a better chance if they just went in front of the court justice, so the judge instead. That's just my assumption.
But how do you fight that? I didn't send the text message.
You can't, but you
Yeah,
can't.
like that's what I mean. Like what
Like
you
they're
have
from,
said.
They're from you. There's
Yeah.
a string, like, I don't know if it's the same in Australia as it is over in the US, but they can go through your phone provider and see every text message that you sent or received to and from different numbers. So even if you delete them,
Yeah.
there's still a record of these messages being sent.
But I didn't mean it like that. Get in the car. Like, fuck, you can't.
Yeah. But that is exactly what happened. She stood in front of a judge. It was Judge Lawrence Moniz, and he found her guilty of involuntary manslaughter and sentenced her to a whopping 2.5 years. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It gets better. So a whopping 2.5 years at the Bristol County House of Corrections. And this was later reduced to 15 months. But that 15 months was reduced to 11 months.
What the fuck?
And she was freed on January 23rd, 2020. There's like a lot more information in there. There are, I believe, currently like at least 2 dramatizations of this happening that you can watch online.
Yeah.
I couldn't subject myself
Yeah.
to that, and I think that's important because you need to know your limits.
Yes, Dal.
So I learnt my limits and I decided not to watch those. But you can go and stream them if you want further context. There's also different SMSs on there. And I did, for brevity, like not put timestamps and that kind of stuff on
Yeah.
most of the ones that I looked at. But they're really sad. You can also see the full court transcript as well, which is available to view online for free. And that, dear Mung Mings, is today's case about Michelle Carter and Conrad Henry Roy III.
That's really sad. I
Yeah.
can't believe that bitch is walking free.
I know. I just don't.
Like, no slap on the wrist. What? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Like,
Don't do that again.
here's for me, if it was someone that I loved and cared about, I would do what I could in my power. And then when it got to a point where it was too much for me,
Yeah.
and that's not to say that I don't love them, but there's only so much I can do,
Yeah.
I would have to step away, but not before I report it to the correct people.
Yeah.
Right?
Make sure they've got the proper help.
Correct. And I guess technically that's even... I would probably even do the same thing for someone that I didn't care that much about,
Yeah.
to be honest. The length between me being involved before directing it to someone else would be much shorter, and I'm not going to try as hard, like out of my own energy, to try to fix you, but I'm not going to let you just suffer by yourself in any way, shape, or form. So...
Because it is heavy to take that on.
It's
to
a
try and
burden.
help someone.
Yeah.
But if it's too much for you, give them the help they need by someone else. Tell their parents, tell their family, tell...
Their partner.
Who's not her.
Just don't tell Michelle Carter, because she won't do nothing about it.
Well, she'll tell you, just go and do it alright.
Yeah, get back in the car.
Fucking hell, what a bitch.
Yeah.
Don't like her.
And on that note, goodbye.
Goodbye.